Pranakasha Livestream.
Hey folks, it's Matt at Pranakasha Productions, and today we are talking with the multi-talented Kelsey Mines. Before we get into it, be sure to give us a like on this channel if you like what we're up to, and if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And also, please leave a comment. In fact, start a conversation down there. The YouTube algorithm loves us when we do that, and that really helps out the channel, and it creates a beautiful community and all those great things. So please be part of that. So Kelsey, me and Kelsey know each other from, of course, playing music together. Like, it's been several years, but at one point you played bass in the Octava Chamber Orchestra, right?
Yeah, I feel like I cut my teeth in Octava as the only bass player in that chamber orchestra. Like, I just learned a lot, and it was such a good opportunity for me while I was
Yeah.
studying.
And I think you were going to the UW at the time, right? University of Washington Music School.
Yeah.
And wow, time flies. I mean, I think it was like a couple of years ago, but it might have been like 10 years ago.
It was precisely 8 years ago that I would have stopped playing with Octava.
Yeah.
That's when I left Seattle, yeah.
Yeah, still going strong. Do you do classical gigs still?
Yeah, I do, but fewer and fewer as other things kind of pick up momentum. And especially because in the pandemic, those were kind of the first things to go and the last things to come back, because there were so many people in the same room, especially like larger orchestral work. But I often play with Tacoma and Yakima.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're around at the end of this month, we could always use a second bass player.
Who's
Darth Nielsen. Do you know
Darth?
Do you know Darth Nielsen? He's
No.
really good. He's the principal bass.
Cool.
And he can hold his own by himself, but it would be kind of cool to have two bass players, especially in my piece. So it's going to be a pretty big orchestra. The stage is going to be like full.
Wow, that's exciting. Are you guys still playing in the same place?
Yeah, Maple Park Church.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's going to be our very first live stream too. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. And then I wrote a cello concerto a long time ago. Yeah, and I'm playing it.
I didn't know you played cello.
Well, I played cello for over 10 years, mostly because I've been writing this cello concerto for that long. And it was mostly just to learn my way around the cello so I could actually write stuff that lied well on it.
I love playing cello.
Then during the pandemic, I got inspired and I bought a much nicer instrument, which is like right there. Mm-hmm. And then it inspired me to practice. And then pretty soon after I started practicing, I'm like, I should start taking lessons. And then after that, what do you know? After you take lessons, you start getting a lot better. Mm-hmm. So, and then at some point I realized, you know what? I'm almost good enough to play my own piece. Maybe I should just like go for it.
That's awesome.
So then that's what I'm doing. It was a little insane, but I don't know. Some people work like that. Like for me, if I set myself a kind of crazy goal, and just go for it, then that is a way to just kind of jumpstart me into some totally new era of my life. So, yeah. Anyway, so you're now doing a lot of jazz stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. And singing, I think?
Yeah, singing more and more.
That's cool.
Different ways, yeah.
So how did all that happen?
The jazz stuff or the singing?
We always into that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was more interested in jazz before I started playing classical bass, but the way the stars aligned, I ended up studying classical bass with Barry Lieberman at UW, because he kind of recruited me and gave me lessons in high school and was like, you should try this. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I ended up going that route and kind of didn't play jazz for a while, actually, when I was doing like Octava and Luco and stuff. But when I went to grad school, I went to Arizona State University, and the program there is huge and really open and evolving, and just like has like this really great faculty that encourages students to kind of cross over. So I was studying classical bass still with Catalin Rotaru there, but the jazz faculty, especially Mike Coker, who's like the head of the department, like showed me that I could do both. And then I started singing more and learning how to play, how to improvise. Now I'm really very interested in free improvisation and creative music generally, and not really thinking about genre. Okay. When I compose, like, even though I like using classical form as a way to like just organize music, but I'm mostly inspired by like improvisation and my peers who have their own sounds and composing in a way that like enables them to bring that to the table. And then of course I like to sing, and I feel very called to that right now, just like allowing my voice to be participating in some capacity, whether that's like really singing lyrics or just accompanying myself with sounds. And I'm just very curious with this idea that we're all singers, and that there's a lot of healing that comes with sounding in terms of like vibrational.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Like I was telling you before we started the show, I got the C word. I can't really say the C word on my show because if I do, YouTube will flag it. In fact, I'm not even sure I can say pandemic. I might get flagged by that. Yeah. But anyways, on Monday, I tested positive, and most of the week I've been under the weather, but today's my first day where I've tried to do an interview. So it's a little bit froggy, but yeah. So, wow. You started bass in high school. Did you also play bass guitar?
Yeah. I started bass guitar when I was younger, even. Okay.
Do you ever play fretless bass guitar?
I don't have one.
Have you ever? But you probably messed around on one.
Actually, I do have one.
I forgot.
A friend of mine, like, he was like, "Here, you can hold on to it if you get it worked on."
Yeah.
If not, it's been sitting, but no, it's not something I don't really play that much electric. Like,
okay.
I play electric in my salsa band.
In your what band?
Salsa band.
Oh, you play salsa?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Salsa has the best bass lines.
It's just the best music, honestly.
I know.
To me, it's it's such a great vessel.
Can we talk about that for a sec? Like, I know I'm not super expert, but I think like a lot of the bands have sheet music arrangements that like the trumpet players and the string players, if you have them, will use. But the bass player, I think, just reads off a chart, right?
I guess my question is like, in what context are you asking?
Like in a typical, like if you did a salsa gig, or like your band went and played at a restaurant or did a set, like your bass line isn't written out, right? Isn't it just guitar chords?
Oh, I see. It's like very similar to big band arrangements in terms of we're all reading from an arrangement, and then the rhythm section sometimes has notes. I mean, this is same with big band charts. Sometimes there's like a predetermined like bass line, but it will also have changes over the top, which invites you to do a comp.
Okay. Have you heard of something called choro? Mm-hmm. Because I did a choro workshop recently. I was actually playing cello in it. And the books that I might even have that book right here. There's, yeah. So, like, for example, in choro is a bit kind of like salsa, except it's like, I think it's from Brazil. It's sort of a Latin jazz form. Mm-hmm. And, but, I mean, I've got like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a lead sheet bass, kind of.
Yeah, but it is. It's exactly that. So it's a lead sheet. Well, here you go. So.
Yeah.
So you've got the melody. You have one line, which is the melody. In some ways, it looks like a piano chart because there's the melody on the top, and then you have a bass clef line on the bottom, which has sometimes it'll have the whole bass line, but a lot of times it'll just have little fragments, and then it'll just say guitar. It'll just say chords instead, and you just fill in your own bass line type of thing.
Yeah, that's super common. We don't play off lead sheets usually because the arrangements are too complex. But it's really often, very, very often, that the rhythm section reads changes and like can comp, and then it'll have like hits written in, or maybe some rhythmic, like notated stuff. But percussionists also don't necessarily read off the charts because they memorize everything oftentimes.
Yeah. And like, but of course, like in salsa, the bass lines are super cool. Like there's usually these wild offbeats, and it gets pretty complex really fast. And I guess you just have a bag of tricks that you apply. How that works? Or
it depends. Like if you really traditional salsa, what I'm learning, and I'm not an expert, I'm like still learning a lot, and I transcribe a lot and listen, and I've been taking some lessons too. Okay. But traditionally it's very straightforward. You play like a whole tune could be based off of just like 1 4 5 1 or 1 5 1 or 1 4 1, or it's like just very simple harmonically, and the bass just plays what it's called the tumbao, and that's an interlocking rhythmic pattern that's occurring with the bass and the conga. And so it's if we're like 1 2 1 2 3, gong 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 gong. So that's like the tumbao for the bass. Right. Of course, the clave is in there too.
Right. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah. Okay. And then the bass line is matching with the conga pattern. You know, it's like hitting beat 4. Like, I'm not going to even try to demonstrate it, but there's this very like interlocking pattern that is not actually all that complex for the bass part, but really the rhythm altogether is very like it's very involved. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I actually took salsa class for a while. Our teacher was Cuban, so she was really into it, and she gave us the whole but she was really strict, and like we had to do it the traditional way, and she was really into music history too. I think that was her major in college, and so do you know Mayensi Sanchez? Does that name sound familiar? Mayensi Sanchez. I'm pretty sure she still lives in Seattle. Anyways, so she told us all the history of all the different styles that led up to what eventually got called salsa. Right. You know, son and danzón and all this other stuff. And of course, I mean, if you say salsa, like if you told Spotify or something like that to play salsa, you actually won't get salsa sometimes. You'll get a bunch of other styles too.
I hate Spotify logarithm playlists. Like, I don't think anybody should ever do that. I'm very anti that personally. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know, okay, here's a salsa tune that I really like that, it wasn't Spotify actually. It was my car. I have a Model 3. And you can tell it like play salsa music, and then Tesla will go out and decide from their network, which is kind of like Spotify, what they consider salsa to be. Anyways, there's this one song called Devórame otra vez. Have you ever heard of that one?
Who's it by?
Now that I don't know. Shoot. Well, anyways, if you read the lyrics, it's really wild because, I mean, it means like devour me one more time. So it's like this really kind of raunchy song, actually. But the singer's super good. And I think it might actually be a classic salsa song. It's a really good song. Yeah. And I try to sing it, but it's something, devórame otra vez. Like that is what he's saying. I don't know. I'd have to play it for you. Anyways, there's so many great ones. Also, you know, sometimes I like to just play a whole bunch of Carlos Gardel, which isn't really salsa. I mean, you know, that's a totally different Latin type of thing, but there's so many cool arrangements that he made of things, songs, too. Anyhow, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, can I do a plug for my salsa band?
Sure, of course.
We're called Elere, which is Elere. And we have our own YouTube channel, and we have one video that we made last year.
Oh, cool.
But we're about to release some music this year, and
oh, great.
We're really interested in original music, so.
Nice. Okay, we'll put a link in the description.
Great.
How do you say it again? Elere?
Elere.
Elere.
It's a Yoruba word.
Okay. ¿Habla español?
I do. I'm learning.
Oh, un poquito. Huh. Wow, that's neat. And then who else is in your band? Might as well tell us all about the whole band.
Our band leader is Daniel Mendoza, and he plays conga. He's really, really excellent. He's like my favorite band leader we've ever had. And we've got Gabriel Serna on timbales, and Carlos Snyder on guitar. Our horn section is our main three are Eric Espelt, Brandon, what's his last name? And Eli, also can't remember his last name right now. And then I'm on bass.
So the horns are they trombones or saxophones or what?
Trombones and a trumpet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Eli Clark.
Very cool. And how about piano?
No piano. Carlos plays guitar, and I think he's about to get a quattro.
Cool.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Well, Carlos and I have another group called Earth Tone Sky Tone. We also have a YouTube channel.
Okay. Link in the description. What was that called again? Earth Tone Sky Tone?
Mm-hmm. Earth Tone Sky Tone.
Okay.
Because it started as a duo. He plays guitar and I play bass, and
so you guys are like the Eurythmics. Remember that band?
So.
Do you know what band I'm talking about?
The Eurythmics, I've heard of them, but
they were like an '80s band. Then basically, it was a really powerful female singer, really deep voice, and then guitar player and keyboardist. Super famous in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I bet if you heard one of their songs, you'd like, oh, I know that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Okay. Is it possible to demonstrate any of their songs just off the cuff?
The Earth Tone Sky Tone songs?
Yeah.
Totally. You want me to play some?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like I saw when it was either TikTok or Instagram where like you were just playing your bass and singing at the same time.
Yeah, I was practicing my part, but it's written in a way where, like it's actually pared down. Sounds pretty cool.
Okay.
I have one in mind.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't played it in a while.
I'm still kind of coughing, apparently, so I got to keep drinking my La Croix.
Let's see. One way there's no sound. Can you hear that okay?
Yeah, it sounds good.
I'm not using any fancy microphones for this. Yeah, this one's called Two Sides, One Reflection, and it's really long, so I'll just play like an excerpt of it.
Okay.
Not me is what you see. What you see is nobody. Faces carved into stone, reminding me when I'm asking a darn thing.
Beautiful. Wow. Yeah, the Zoom mic ended up sounding kind of tinny, but I mean, I could still hear, I could hear I can imagine what it was supposed to really sound like. So, do you like Indian music? like ragas and stuff like that?
I haven't gone down that path, but this is definitely very drone oriented.
Okay.
It's in 7, this tune, so I can hear the...
Because I thought I heard you doing some stuff with your voice that was sort of like what an Indian singer, classical singer would do. Some of the ornamentation and stuff that you were doing.
Yeah, I wouldn't claim to be influenced by that.
Okay. Unless it was just Zoom acting weird, but I thought I heard you doing type of stuff.
Melisma, if that's what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But melisma is not particularly like associated with any
right. I mean, yeah, everybody uses it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Did I hear? Is there anything else? You got any other ones? Now I want to hear more.
I mean, let's see. I don't mean, let's see. When she joins the angels, sky is falling down below, farther than the answer. Time to show her where to go.
That's great. Okay, we got to put
links on our Bandcamp. It's called Sky Below.
Okay. Can we put links to those songs in the description?
Yeah.
Okay, because then we can hear them. I mean, guys, we're just doing this over Zoom, right? There's no reverb, and there's a terrible microphone, so, I mean, it's going to sound kind of... You have to imagine how it's really going to sound. You heard, like, a skeleton of the sound, but, like, it already sounds really cool. It's just really beautiful. I want to ask you a lot of questions, so...
We'll put this down then.
I mean, I can understand people that sing and play piano at the same time, or people that sing and play guitar at the same time, but like singing and playing the bass at the same time, or singing and playing the cello at the same time, or singing and playing the violin at the same time, to me is really hard because, for one thing, you're singing, right? You have to put a lot of your concentration into having a beautiful sound, beautiful intonation, and everything that it takes for your voice to do what you want, right? But then you also, if you're playing an instrument that doesn't have any frets, I mean, it would always, when I tried to do stuff like that, it would mess me up because, like, if something wasn't right, my brain couldn't figure out, okay, is my hand out of tune or is my voice out of tune?
Yeah. No, that's
How do you deal with that?
You have to get really comfortable physically on your instrument so that you don't have to worry about intonation on your instrument.
Okay, so you just go do it basically by feel?
Yeah, I mean, I have played those bass lines so much that I'm pretty good at hitting it in tune like right away, and like I can still maybe make minor adjustments, but I am fixated more on my voice and like letting muscle memory. I think that's how it goes for anything that you're multitasking with. Usually one thing ends up going in a certain part of your brain,
right?
So that you can really use another part of your brain. Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah, with instruments that require tuning, it's just a matter of like being able to trust that your hands, not having to listen to that specifically. But also, there's something really cool about tuning to yourself with 2 different notes. What I struggle with is that I sing a lot when I play, But I do unison. You know, like when I'm improvising, I kind of sing along with my playing.
Oh, kind of like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, tons of other musicians too, you know, known for.
Glenn Gould would do that too, also.
And, yeah, it's a thing, especially for jazz musicians, but I didn't know that about Glenn Gould. But you can hear them, and it helps with like phrasing and ideas and expression, because it's coming more from an internal, more physical place than maybe like more cerebral place. But now when I am soloing, I'm trying more, or when I'm improvising, I'm trying to see like, okay, what happens if I like am like branching off? Like, where does the bass go when I'm like accompanying myself versus treating them as kind of like one singular instrument. So it feels like that's challenging, because I want to go and do the same. But
okay, so like what you just did, I think what you said is that in a sense your bass playing is a bit of somewhat on autopilot, and most of your consciousness is focused on your voice. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so.
And then, of course, what you might do is then switch and maybe let your voice comp, and then the bass can be the thing that you're really concentrating on. Well,
I've never had my voice comp. That's really, I mean, this is just me. Like, I'm sure it's different for other people.
Okay.
But like, okay, so when I'm playing, like what I just played, you know, this bass line, like, I do the same every single time. I mean, I can add fills and kind of change up the rhythm. But when the words come in, I can be more improvisatory with the voice, because my left hand is just following a pattern. There where the dark hides. But then, if I'm soloing, I really like singing and playing, like, and like following my lines with my voice, and also letting my lines follow my voice, and trying to play around with that.
Nice.
But when I'm improvising in both parts of, like, as a duet with myself, that is really, really compelling to me right now. Anyway, I'm in a phase. I'm like curious if I start like, and like seeing like, okay, if I go up, like what happens? Like, I'm just kind of, if it comes from a place of curiosity,
right?
More, and like, how do I listen to myself in that way? It just feels really different.
Yeah, that's super fun.
Challenging. It's like a really good challenge.
So here's a question. Like, do you cheat when you're recording? Do you always do exactly what you just did here? Or do you cheat sometimes, multi-track it, and just do a vocal track and a bass track separate?
Yeah, I definitely would track it, but I don't like cheating.
Right.
It's just makes more sense, like, in the editing.
Well, of course, yeah, then you can edit it if you... Yeah. Because, so, well, as you know, recording stuff in a studio is so much different than playing live. And it's just, in some ways it's easier, and other ways it's way harder. So that can drive you insane, actually, if you don't learn how to deal with it, that different mental space, you know?
Yeah, it's like, well, with Earth Tone, Sky Tone, it's always been a question of, like, how do we record in a way that, like, maintains the interactive element, like that we have when we're playing live, like that kind of momentary, like the value that comes from being in the moment with one another. Yeah. Plus, like, our time constraint, because we only have so much time and so much money to do a certain amount of takes. Right. So money is a huge constraint. Like we move towards, we have a lot of recorded music that's kind of, it's on hold at the moment.
Okay.
We have like 5 or 6 more songs or something that we've recorded at our friend's home studio.
Okay.
And that's totally been so much better because we can take all the time that we need because we're not paying like an engineer by the hour.
Right.
But that setup also, we did tracking for everything because.
Have you tried mixing your own stuff? Have you ever gotten with software and all that?
We mostly are engineering all of our own stuff, except for we want to get like we have like one phase of, like we mix everything to the best of our ability and then we send it to another engineer just to get a fresh set of ears.
Right. Yeah. Plus also, then you send it to somebody else to master it. Though, you know what? Some engineers make a big deal about mastering, but you know what most of them do? They just plug it into their software, do it about 4 or 5 different ways, and send it back to you. And like, I mean, I've got the software, and I know I have a couple of my favorite settings that I pretty much use all the time for Octava. You know?
Yeah, mastering.
But I can sit there. It cost me $500, and now I know how to use it. But I could charge however much I wanted to master something, and literally all I do is plug it into the software for 5 minutes and then give it back to them. So.
Well, I know not to ask you to master anything.
Yeah. Or, I mean, you could send me something and just email it to me and I'll throw it done through my thing and send it back to you and see if you like it.
Well, the value of having someone master it, it's just to have somebody hear and listen and be like, okay, like just to polish it a fresh way that makes it conducive to like radio play and stuff. Yeah.
Well, don't let them compress the hell out of it.
Right.
Which is what they usually do. I mean, nowadays, if you look at a pop song, it's like you can't see hardly any empty space in there. But I mean, I believe in compression. It's okay to compress something a little bit, but I mean, you should still see a kind of a mountainscape in the sound form still. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, different subject. But wow. So, and you just, now it's most of this stuff, would you say self-taught, or did you learn a lot of this stuff in grad school? The singing and playing and all that?
Oh, that's, I've taken vocal lessons and I've taken bass lessons, and then everything else is, I guess. Just
picking things up from people you like, music you like, and musician, and just exploring. So it sounds like you sort of just wake up in the middle of the night and go, I should try that.
No, not exactly. No, I'm a very well-rounded musician. Let's just put it that way. I'm like, music is not, I love it, and obviously it's very important to me, but there are other things that are more important to me.
Other things more important than music? Like what? Besides Star Trek, of course. No.
It's like personal things, that keep me grounded, and like just, music is very embedded in every aspect of our lives, and I'm really grateful to be to I guess have a career or whatever, like to be a musician full time, because it's very conducive to like how creative I am and how I feel like, but I feel like it's just like I'm just like very lucky to have it as a tool.
So you're actually making money as a musician. That's something to start with.
Yeah.
And do you teach too, or is it all gigs?
I teach also.
Okay. What kind of, like, what would a typical lesson with you be like?
Oh, well, I have school-aged kids, and so I try to, like, keep it somewhat structured, so they're kind of, like, on a path, but it really depends on what they want to learn also.
Okay.
But, like, I have one student right now, and she's, like, very self-motivated. So I can, like, just ask her like what she's listening to, what she wants to learn, and she'll just be like, oh yeah, I was listening to the song and I really want to learn the bass line. I'm like, cool. And then I can facilitate like maybe the most effective way to go about learning that song. Trying to like balance her use of tablature with like teaching her how to read music, so she's prepared for other things. And I mean, because she's playing electric bass, so
I was going to say, I didn't know that stand-up bass players use tab.
No, they don't.
Right, so this is electric. Okay,
I'm talking about my electric student.
Okay.
But I also have a upright bass student who's also very self-motivated, and they are really interested in Latin jazz right now, which is cool. They're like in 6th grade, I think, and they love Jobim, and they love like, I mean, I don't know where it started, but they like, I taught them Girl from Ipanema. I think that's what it was. And they like loved that song. And so now we're just in a rabbit hole with them. And that's really, really special because it's just cool to see that they're like sparked by something in particular. And I can kind of, again, just give them the tools to like really supplement their curiosity. But I'm not very strict as a teacher. And I'm like,
now I'm trying to figure out what decade you're from. See, you're about 30, right? How old are you?
I'm 30, exactly 30. Yeah.
Okay. So you were born in the early 90s. So you were born when Soundgarden was starting to make it big.
It's true. Yep.
Wow. But then when you were a teenager, what kind of music was everybody into?
I mean, I loved Soundgarden and Nirvana and Audioslave and like just Chris Cornell generally when I was a teenager.
Matt Cameron's wife plays an octava, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
April Cameron, the violist, occasionally plays an octava. And, the big name Soundgarden drummer comes to our concerts every once in a while.
Cool.
Yeah, because they live in Edmonds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. I loved that kind of music, but I don't think I was like listening to necessarily what everybody else was listening to when I was a teenager.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, so that's cool because grunge, it's actually pretty complex, a lot of it. So, and it harkens back to the 70s rock stuff where stuff for a while got really complex, and so
but there's also
that was like your roots.
Really simple music.
Yeah. Okay. Then, like, when did you first decide you wanted to be a musician? Like, how old were you when you first plucked your first bass or plunked a note on the piano?
I played piano when I was 5. Like, my dad's a musician, and I was really creative, and we had a piano in the house, so I asked if I could take piano lessons. Okay.
Do you still play piano?
Poorly. But yeah, I work on it from time to time. Try to play Bach or like learn a standard. But it's
of course, all composers have to know something about piano. No, you got to bang out chords and stuff, and
you don't have to be able to play piano to compose. I think anybody can compose.
Yeah, but what do you do? Like, if you want to actually voice some chords and write stuff that's got harmony in it, then
I mean, to be able to learn arranging and like voicings and like voice leadings and stuff, that's just, that skill in and of itself is a really, really good one to have and challenging. And it is helpful to have piano, I guess, to implement that. But with playback, like on like the MIDI is getting so good now on
of course, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I don't usually sit at the piano that much when I'm composing, to be honest.
Actually, I don't either. Well, like when I'm writing orchestral scores, I pretty much mostly hear it in my head and just start writing it up there. And then, of course, it'll play right back for you right then.
Yeah, so wait.
Occasionally, if things get too complex, I still will go to the piano and I'll try to figure out, what really is that progression I'm trying to do? And I might figure it out on the piano in the other room. And then once I kind of got it figured out, I go back to the other room and write it out on the score.
Yeah, but if anyone's listening to this and they think I'm not a composer because I don't know how to play piano, that's not true. you could be a composer no matter what. So,
yeah. Basically, you just got to hear music and figure out a way to capture it.
And communicate it to other musicians. I mean, that's kind of a requirement if you want other musicians to play your music, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So so your music, what would you describe your music like? I mean, how would you describe the genre of it if you had to?
Of which group, which music?
Well, like the stuff that you played for us today, would you just call that jazz or?
We call it like electroacoustic, song-oriented music. It's song form.
Okay.
Because it has like verses and a chorus. Mm-hmm. But it's obviously very influenced by jazz or by what we know to be considered jazz. Like I think I and a lot of people that I play with like are the word jazz is just very loaded actually.
Well, it's an awfully broad term nowadays.
Super broad and like jazz musicians like Miles Davis himself and others have kind of denounced the word because it was first used by non-jazz musicians to describe jazz in a way that might have been kind of reductive. Anyway, it's just, I don't know that much about it, so I don't want to go too far into that, but I do know that personally, like, music feels more apt to describe what I do.
What is it called?
Creative music.
Creative music.
So that's also much broader, right? But that's...
Well, all music is creative.
Yeah, all music is creative, but it's like... It's not commercial music.
Okay. But, I mean, there's also that genre called world music.
Yeah, I love world music because to me that is just like the best genre, you know, like everything's world music. I mean, I just have a hard time with genres generally because genres are specific, like they're useful for the commercial side of music. So it's kind of a necessary evil, but like I don't care that much what you want to call it, I guess. I think creative music or improvised music if someone asked me like to write a description for the playbill for the festival or something, I think we usually say electroacoustic, like songwriter, something like that.
Okay, here's an idea.
Electronics, but it's also acoustic instruments, and it's.
Have you ever considered having your salsa band do a salsa version of some of the songs from your other band?
Oh no, that'd be cool. Yeah, we do write original. Both Carlos and I are in LA, and so we both write original music for that band as well. Okay. And I think there's probably like you could probably, if you really analyzed it, you could probably hear like some sort of common thread in those songs. But
yeah, one of my favorite things I go to is I once heard, it was some YouTube video that I randomly came across, and it was this mariachi band doing a version of the Bach Badinerie from the French Suite, which is this, when it was this really hard part, it was this thing, it's a solo flute part that goes except it was a mariachi band and the guy was playing on the trumpet.
That already sounds like a mariachi line, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds like it would fit perfectly.
And it sounded great. And well, also I realized at some point also a lot of mariachi bands will take classical music and do a mariachi version. Like I heard one mariachi band do Mozart's Symphony No. 40. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-da-din, da-da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-da. But it was a mariachi version of it. Mm-hmm. So anything's possible. So, and of course you can do that with Bach, other Bach pieces. I'm sure, has your band ever tried stuff like that? Like take some classic Bach piece and go off on it? That's another possibility. There's so many things. Yeah, once you get into improvising land, you can just kind of go everywhere. Yeah. You know, if you're courageous enough. That's really wild. Wow. So in your non-salsa, I already forgot the name of the band or how to pronounce it, but I can say the salsa band and the non-salsa band.
Earth Tone, Sky Tone.
Oh, Earth Tone, Sky Tone. Do you ever use your bow in Earth Tone, Sky Tone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Is that a rare event, or is it pretty common?
I wouldn't say rare, no. I am very proud of my bow skills, so I'm always trying to use them.
Because again, that's the thing. Is like when you're singing and you're worried about your breath control, then you're using that part of your brain for that. So then how does your bow know what to do? Does the bow go on automatic?
I don't think I sing and play Arco at the same time in Earth Tone, Sky Tone, but I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I know. It's like more of a kind of a interlude thing.
That's cool. Well, you're up to some really neat stuff. And you're in composition land. Have you done any compositions that you could maybe consider somehow classical?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I guess like the first, it's not the first commission, but the first like classical commission, I guess, I got was last year. Do you know the Sound Ensemble?
Yeah, Bobby Collins.
Yeah.
He's my conducting teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I play in his orchestra. I played cello in his group, Seattle Festival Orchestra.
Oh, cool. Yeah. They commissioned me, I guess it's over a year ago now, but to write a piece during the pandemic, and we recorded it and stuff, and it was definitely like scored, like, a classical chamber music work. Do
you have a video of that?
Yeah, there's a video.
Okay, in the description.
Okay.
I want to hear that too. That's cool. How would you describe that piece?
Well, it's chamber music that's pretty contemporary sounding. It has a lot of atonal elements. And then it goes into some improvisation, which is a cool challenge because to find musicians who are like comfortable playing classical chamber music, where you really have to like be engaged in a really particular way, who are also comfortable improvising. That was really that kind of has an edge to it, that I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And then I had a poet on it as well. It's called To Actually Create Everywhere. And it's just about gender in music. How obsessed people are kind of with gender. Like when you first get your instrument when you're a kid, fourth grade, your teacher is like, you're a girl, you're gonna play this. You're a boy, you're gonna play this. Like that's
you're a boy, you play the trumpet. You're a girl, you play the flute.
Exactly. It's ubiquitous and it's unchecked. Like people don't do it intentionally, but it's just kind of this. Like people always tell me when I'm carrying my bass around, like, you're so small, you're playing such a big instrument. And I am not small. I'm actually really average for...
Yeah, I never thought of you as small.
Right. I'm a very average sized person, right? So, but not for a man. I'm small compared to most men. So what they're really saying is...
Aren't you like 5'8" or something like that? How tall are you?
Sorry?
How tall are you?
Just average. Average.
Are you like 5'8" or 5'9" or... For some reason I thought you were tall.
No, I'm not that tall.
Okay.
The point I'm trying to make really, it doesn't really matter how tall I am, is that people see me and see this instrument as being at odds with one another. And and they kind of pin it on, they think it's because I'm petite, but really it's subconsciously, it's because I'm a woman in a male-dominated instrument. And by the way, every instrument's male-dominated, even the flutes and the violins and stuff like that, but it's better and better and better especially with orchestral instruments and blind auditions and all of these things. But the whole piece centers around our experience with that. So I really encourage your viewers to check it out and see if it speaks to them. And I know I've had music teachers even like respond and comment on how influential they felt, how they felt influenced by it. Just thinking, oh gosh, now I'm going to be different as a teacher, like assigning instruments. So that's only one small part of it too. It's kind of like what's interesting, and this is very central to my experience, is like, because if you're the only woman in a situation or non-man, this is for non-binary people too. If you don't fit into this particular category, like, you know that you're kind of representing like your gender. So half of your brain is occupied with this feeling of responsibility, or like this expectation that's kind of placed upon us. And it takes away from the music. And it's like this kind of unspoken universal experience where I can't focus on like really being an artistic vessel for this idea, this expression, because I am literally like using energy that's like, I'm preoccupied because I'm in this male dominant space. But when I'm in spaces where I'm just surrounded by like people that I trust and I know aren't judging me, and this can be men or women or anybody, I'm like a way better musician. So this whole piece also was centered around just creating that space for me and for all the other musicians in the piece.
Wow. Of course, now I want to watch. And you said there is a video of it, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is part, like, it's been expanded upon in the last year, and I'm going to re-premiere it in August this summer.
Nice. Well, that's the first level of success for a piece after you compose a piece is that it gets performed at all. Level 2 is it gets a good performance, and level 3 is it gets performed more than once. And then after that, if it's like becomes somehow part of some repertoire, then it's like hit superstardom. A lot of work, like organizing and applying for things and stuff like that. So I have a good team of people that are like... And promoting it,
helping,
Wow. So that's really neat. Wow, so that... to tell you the truth, I really don't know... I hardly know anything about really your music except from that thing I saw on Instagram, and I looked some Facebook posts, couple, and then I remember playing an octava, and then what you've shown me today, so... Now I'm like really interested in checking out all that other stuff. Wow. I'm
kind of trying a bunch of different things all at once.
Cool. That's really neat. Yeah, that's I was just watching Rick Beato's channel today. I don't know if you know who that is. Pretty famous. Well, I call him famous because he has like 300,000 subscribers, but a music YouTube channel. But he was going off about, he used to be like a record producer, and he would basically, he worked for record companies, and he's a super good guitarist and super good at music theory. And he, on his channel, a lot of times he talks about the industry and stuff and where it's at and how disgusted he is with it and everything like that. But I'm assuming that what you're doing is you're promoting yourself all indie, right? You guys are just taking care of your own marketing and all that stuff, or?
I have one label that I'm working with.
To
actually create everywhere. It's going to be like, we did a recording session last year, and so there'll actually be like a digital version of it, and maybe an actual CD manifestation. Through Relative Pitch Records, which is this label based out of New York.
Oh, okay.
But,
how long have you worked with them?
I haven't released anything on there yet, but I'm going to have hopefully 2 albums out on their label this year. That's the agreement. So.
Yeah. I've heard so many horror stories about that kind of a thing, where like his rant today was like, he was saying, the record industry is so screwed up now, because it used to be that at least when you got signed with the label, they would at least do your marketing, and they would do something. But he says now he says now the industry has gotten to the point where like they won't even consider your song unless it has some kind of viral TikTok video associated with it. And he was going off with like, so now they do nothing because they expect the artists basically to market it, everything. And then once it's all rolling and they got their viral video, then the label will now, basically accept the money for doing nothing. Yeah, and the artist did the entire thing, including all the marketing.
Labels now really function more as like a curatorial space.
Okay.
So there's value in that as long as you maintain like the rights to everything and like
right. That's the thing.
Relative Pitch is a really small operation and they don't take any money.
Okay, so your label is kind of a small label.
Yeah, I mean they have tons of artists. And
okay.
It's like a huge database.
Okay.
Of improvised music, and experimental avant-garde music. But as far as like the operation and like their investment is entirely like, it's like pro bono basically. Like they just cover costs. That's it.
Because the other thing, I mean, of course, is you just create your own label. That's what I did. I mean, originally Pranakasha Productions was a record label.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for a CD that I wrote, a CD that I made called Pranakasha, The Sounds of Om.
Wow.
It wasn't until much later that it became a YouTube channel. But yeah, I mean, and what I've also heard, and I'm sure you know all this, is like, even if you quote make it big, most bands hardly make any money off their CDs. It's like the record label gets it all. Yeah. And then the only time they make money is when they go on tour,
Yeah. It's hard to make money.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're pretty highly successful, like you're barely making a living,
Yeah. I have a Patreon.
Fun. Okay. We'll put that in the description too.
Oh my gosh, it'll be like just
we'll put everything in there. Yeah.
And that's cool. I think I might move away from it and try out some other platforms that have like a similar format, but Patreon is getting a little bit like money grabby too. So it's a little ironic. But I like it. I really like being able to like feel supported by like just people who are like, I want to just support you, and like it motivates me to put stuff out in a particular way that like
that's neat.
More what's the word, like interactive.
Cool. You know what I forgot to talk about now that we're getting close to wrapping up, but we didn't even talk about lyrics or anything like that. Like when you write a song, do you find yourself writing the music first and then adding the lyrics, or do you start with the lyrics, or does it depend? Or
depends. I think I'm trying to think of different songs with lyrics that I've written in the recent years. The one that I sang first, not Two Sides, One Reflection, was a collaboration. We'd written this kind of ostinato thing first, and then we like got our journals and we're like, okay, let's figure out like what we want to say, and then figure out how it fits in with the rhythm. So that was the order for that.
Oh, and that was a collaboration, so it wasn't just you. It was you and
this is an Earth Tone Sky Tone song, so
you guys always collaborate on every song?
At first, we like would come with our like, I have this song, and he would come with his song, and then we would work on it together, and it ultimately become both of ours. But that particular song, Two Sides of One Reflection, was very collaborative. Like we wrote it together like in a couple days.
Nice.
Session, so. Writing session.
I kind of feel like I need to really check out your music now, and then once I really know a lot about it, I should like bring you back on the show.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I hope that we release more stuff soon. It's like been a long time coming. We only have 2 songs out on Bandcamp, and then we have a video on YouTube that is another song. So
another possibility is I do have a Star Trek fan series that I do that's actually really cool. And I use a bunch of I use classic Star Trek music in it, but then I bring in a lot of other music also. Mm-hmm. Like, would it be possible if I find the right scene for me to use some of your guys' music?
I guess anything's possible. Just, I'll have to run it by my bandmates.
I'd send it to you and let you guys watch the scene and with the music in it and see if you even want to be associated with something like that.
Yeah, it might not be. I can't really picture it right now, but just
Yeah. Okay. Just gotta. Of course, the way things are going right now, it takes me forever to do an episode. My current episode is taking almost a year to do. But so who knows? I mean, it might be like 2 years or 3 years from now when I would be calling you guys saying, "Hey, can I use this song in my show?" But wow.
Yeah, well, we will have a lot more music out by then.
Yeah, that's neat. Okay. Well, of course, if you ever want cello or violin in any of your tracks, call me up. That's neat. I also know a really good sarod player, which is kind of like sitar. So if you ever did want some kind of Indian sounding thing in any of your songs, I could probably hook you up with him too. So in fact, we're going to do one of his pieces at the Octava concert in June. I watched.
Did you do an interview with him too?
Yeah, Brandon McIntosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy. And the funniest thing is he ended up playing this road after listening to like heavy metal. Mm-hmm. It was some heavy metal band. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Motley Crue that did some particular piece that was kind of based on an Indian raga. And he just freaked out and thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then from there, he ended up going from electric guitar for a while, then finally to sarod, and then going to India and taking from some Indian guru. You know, it's just so funny how the path that people take to finally get to where they are in their life, you know. Mm-hmm. Who knows where you're going to go from there, too. So yours was piano, and then when did you first plunk a bass?
I played electric in 6th grade.
Okay.
I wanted to stop taking piano lessons, so I asked my dad, like, what instrument should I play? And he said, why not the bass? And I said, what's that? He's like, it's like a guitar, but with only 4 strings. And I was like, that sounds cool. Cooler than guitar, that's for sure. So I just like picked it up. He bought me like a really cheap one. And I played it for a while. And then I got really into it. And my grandpa like got me a nice one when I showed a dedication. And I took lessons. I took lessons on electric bass and guitar.
Okay.
And then,
you'll get this shirt then.
That's a C major chord. No, it's an F major chord. Oh, I get it. F-U.
I had to wear
it. But and then I started playing upright when I was in high school. So I took the same teacher on all 3 of those instruments, and ukulele as well. I like.
Ukulele, cool. Did you ever play bass ukulele?
I have not, but I have played one, but I don't have one. But I am interested in like the mobility of that instrument and like how good it actually sounds.
Yeah, you know what? I was at a luau at the beach at Edmonds near the ferry terminal that my wife was actually making the food for, and there was a Hawaiian band there, and the bass player was playing bass ukulele, which was only about that big. Mm-hmm. And then the amp that he was using was maybe that big too. Mm-hmm. But it got a really nice bass sound.
They sound like upright bass.
Yeah, it sounded great.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, you can't play bow on them, but they have like these thick strings, rubber strings that they just really warm but still percussive.
It was great. You know, and plus it had, I mean, even though they were using an amp, it still had that acoustic quality to it. So it had the warmth and the expression to it, you know, and so it was cool. And then, like you said, very compact.
I saw one at Folklife.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I heard this Venezuelan group playing and the bass player was cool.
Yeah, I was just coming down with the sickness.
Right.
I was supposed to play at Folklife.
Oh.
There was a Mozart Requiem sing-along the last day of Folklife.
Yeah.
I was supposed to play in it, but I couldn't do it.
Oh.
I've done it a bunch of years in the past, so I knew it was going to be a blast.
Yeah.
But didn't happen this year. Wow. Okay, Kelsey. Well, yeah, we'll have to. I'm going to listen to your music some more, and then send me. So just send me stuff. Send me all those links that I asked for, and you have a website too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the best way, if people are like curious about me and want to know what I'm doing and where they can hear me, is just to sign up. If you go to my website, it's just KelseyMinesSpace.com.
KelseyMinesSpace.com.
Yeah, it's just sign up for my newsletter, because I try to post on Instagram, but the newsletter is a more compact kind of like, it's like I maybe send one email out a month. Maybe once every 2 months.
Newsletter, ooh, old school.
I know. I'm trying to move away from dependence on social media, because I just, it's toxic land over there. So it's necessary. Like, I have to use it. But if I have more and more subscribers in my newsletter, then I can kind of lean on that more. So.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. We have a plan. And I'll find, usually what I do in these interview videos, I put some pictures of you up above, or of your band or whatever, up above us talking. But I can probably find that stuff on your website too, right?
Yeah, I can.
Or you can send me stuff.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe I could go searching through your Facebook and see if I see anything in there too.
Absolutely do not do that.
Okay. It usually only takes like 3 or 4 pictures.
Okay, I'll just send 3 or 4 pictures.
Okay.
Tell me just let me know what kind of things you want, like of what.
Stuff that would pertain to what we talked about. Like, probably what I'd want is like a picture of your salsa band, and a picture of your non-salsa band. I already forgot the name again. Darn it.
Earth Tone, Sky Tone. Earth
Tone, Sky Tone.
It's kind of a mouthful.
It shows how much prep I put into this video. But it's supposed to be off the cuff, so that's my excuse. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, so all that stuff's going to be up there, and then, and also I'll put a bio down in the description, which I can probably grab off your website too. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe could we have you do one more song as to kind of lead us out? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll have to think for a second what I would play.
Or we could hear this one of the previous ones again, because they were so beautiful.
I have one that I can do. It's hard though. It's a challenging one, and I haven't practiced it, so.
Excuses.
You'll see as soon as I start playing it. This is the one that I think you might have seen me play on my Instagram.
Hooray. Great.
So we'll have to hear the whole thing elsewhere.
Fantastic. Okay. Wow. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're super talented. And if you want, you can even send me some lyric. We can even put some lyrics from some of the fragments there if you want to have those in the description too.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So, do you watch any Star Trek?
I grew up watching a lot of
Oh, cool.
The one with Captain Janeway. Which one?
Voyager.
Yes, Star Trek Voyager. Yeah, I like that one.
Okay. Well, then we can sign off with the Vulcan salute. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
All right. Till next time. Pranakasha Production.
Fantastic creations emerging spontaneously from the space of life. For the benefit of all beings everywhere. We gotta